The lesson.
Oh yeah.
Fast forwarding the clock to, I think, 2014-ish, you were doing the Freestyle Fridays videos.
Yeah.
So what brought that about?
I thought it was just a great way to promote my EP. And so I was working on an EP, and then when I was doing the Friday freestyles and stuff like that, I was just pushing like just my rapping skill. And then obviously when that third one happened, it sort of just took off from there, and I was fortunate enough to already have this EP waiting there, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was just like push me to a whole heap of people and then be ready to drop something. And like I sort of just planned that, and I mean, it doesn't happen to everyone. I'm extremely lucky, and I know I am. And I mean, it doesn't take away from people's, like, my talent or other people's talent or anything, but like just at that time I was like, I'm ready for this. This is sick. And so yeah, I chucked out the EP and it went really well. And then I was already working on a mixtape, so that didn't come too far afterwards. And then yeah, my first shows that I did, I sold them out, which was amazing. And then it was just like it was definitely a snowball effect from then on of just what I was doing and how popping you are at the time. But like, I mean, with momentum and stuff, like obviously if you push a skateboard down a hill or anything like that, like it's going to stop. And so momentum was going really great. And then like all of a sudden, like it just gets like a bit where you just like, oh, now it's a struggle and you've got to get back uphill. And that's sort of where I got to when I started not releasing albums or consistently. And like my mixtapes were very like all over the place, I guess. So like, and that's what I sort of view now and why I need to take a break and stuff like that.
So the EP that you used the Freestyle Fridays clips to promote, that was the Ringwood Rich EP?
Yeah, correct.
So why that particular title?
I did Ringwood Rich because like Ringwood isn't a very like, it's not a very wealthy area, and where I like sort of grew up, like what I grew up around and grew up with, other people I grew up with, sorry, and just like, yeah, just the situations that I was in, it sort of felt like a very fitting title. And I mean, even when we were like taking the photo and stuff, like all the photos taken in Ringwood, the front cover is like a chapter or like a book because the windows like sort of make it into a book. That's why like there's 3134 in the corner, if I'm remembering it. So fucking ages ago, but yeah, and so like I just like, and I was still working at Toy World at the time as well, like just hustling like toys out and shit to get money to pay for it. So yeah, and I mean like Ringwood is like, well, back then when like I was hanging around, like there was a lot of hectic shit happening as well. Like, and I grew up at the skate park, so I would see a lot of this stuff of like just like people getting bashed and like stabbed and like rocking up at the train station and someone's fucking like half dead and shit like in the morning, and like all of that stuff sort of is in my head, and like I was around it and I've been amongst it, but like it sort of just didn't affect like my like the outcome of what I wanted to be as a person. And so I really couldn't even ask for a better childhood or even growing circumstance, because I wouldn't be who I am right now if it wasn't for where I came up in and who I was hanging around at the time. And yeah, like I mean, like I love all my friends, and like I haven't seen heaps of them in like a really long time as well. But yeah, it's sort of just Ringwood Rich definitely like just represented like how I felt about my area at the time, and also that, you know, this is like the pureness that can come out of it. And so that's all sort of what it meant to me.
And when you talk about you know, some of the things that you went through or witnessed or experienced growing up in Ringwood, can you recall, you know, one of the most hectic things that you either experienced or witnessed growing up in Ringwood?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I've seen a lot of shit and like been around a lot of shit. I mean, like there's stuff that happens all the time, man. Like kids getting like hit like with, I remember there was a kid at the skate park once got hit with like a back of a vacuum coil that was like the heaviest thing I've ever felt, and just like blood like literally everywhere, like all over the skate park, and like you just say, what the fuck? And then like the jacks will rock up and like and no one will say a word because no one's a snitch or an informant, and then like you would just stand there and just be like, what the hell? And like his mum would come and like cry. Like I went to a party, like saw a mum get stabbed with a pitchfork. Like there's just been a lot of hectic things that are just like resonating in my mind, and like, I mean, it's just, they're always in there and stuff, and like the person that I am as well, like I'm not really like, I'm not like I'm not a hectic cunt. Like I'm not just like someone that just like does like all this shit, and I'll plainly like admit it as well. But like I've just been around like the hectic cunts and used to hang around with like the dudes that were pretty heavy, and like just those things as well, like just sort of capture like your mind and like how you see things. And like, so with my writing and stuff, it definitely helped me develop like a feeling. And I mean, some of the stories that like I will write about as well, and like some of the songs, like they're not necessarily like my stories. They're stories of like different people that I've not examined, but like I've watched and analyzed and everything. And so I'll write about them, or like write about how they would feel, or like anything that's sort of like to do in the matter. So I mean, yeah, it definitely shaped me as a person just growing up around there, but I wouldn't wish for it to be any other way.
Is all the stuff that you witness and experience more involving the people around you, or did you have any experiences where like it directly affected you, like you were someone that was being assaulted, or you know, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, man. I mean, when I was like 15, I got rolled at like knife point in the city at Lincoln Square while I was skating. I was surrounded by like about 20 or 30 dudes, and yeah, they all had knives, and like all my mates are trying to like help me get out, and they sort of like, one of them hugged me, and then I like thought that he was just like, you know, fucking around or whatever, and then they all sort of surrounded me, and that like sort of fucked me up for a while, because like I didn't want to like go out of the house or do that shit. And so I think that's why I started hanging out with like more hectic like people, and started like, you know, surrounding myself with just other people that I like, you know, like sort of knew that would have my back, because it sort of felt like I was alone in that sort of circumstance. And like, I'm a small dude, so like yeah, it sort of like shaped me and sort of made me, you know, like become more of, I guess, a man. Like it would really just be like a thing of like, now, like if it sort of happened, like it would be a self-defense thing. But like back then I was like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. And like then all like just having like all your shit rolled and like getting it out. And I mean, like I got all my stuff back because these dudes were stupid enough to keep going down Swanson Street and assaulting everybody. So like, I mean, we went to like yeah, we one dude, like a massive like bodybuilder dude, like took me like to the cops at like 15, and then yeah, and then I like told them what happened, and then they're like, oh, they're up the street, came out with like pepper spray and shit, chased them up the street, pepper sprayed them, dragged them all back into the thing. They're like, this is your $10 and this is your iPod Nano. And it's like, oh, crazy. All right. So you got them. And then I remember I had to go back in and like say who it was, and like point out at their like shit. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, it was a bit fucked up, but I was just like, I'm not gonna fucking fuck up someone else's life either if they've done something that they didn't mean to do or some shit, and like they could have been going through anything. So whether they're being a fuckhead or not, I sort of understood that. So yeah, but all those things sort of get a bit hectic.
The lesson. 927. Oh yeah.